And for the official kickoff, it is my great pleasure to give the floor to the president of the Wilfried Martens Centre for European Studies, Mikuláš Dzurinda, joining us here in the studio. Welcome, President.
Thank you, Anna. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of the Wilfried Martens Centre for European Studies to the 12th edition of the European Ideas Forum, which you may know as the Economic Ideas Forum, its name during the previous years. We at the Martens Centre, a political foundation associated with the European People's Party, attempt to come up with the right answers to the key policy challenges of our times and offer these answers to our leaders at both the national and the European level. We use different formats to achieve this goal. We provide our own research. We organize different forms of seminars, workshops, and conferences. The intention is always the same: to look for new and inspiring ideas, suggestions, and inspiration. This is also the aim of our European Ideas Forum 2021. For this edition of the European Ideas Forum, we have chosen three main topics: sustainable economic recovery after the pandemic, the future role of the EU in the great power competition, and digitalization. There is no doubt the primary current global challenge is represented by the COVID-19 pandemic. This challenge contains a number of dimensions. One of them is represented by the post-pandemic economic recovery. After the outbreak of the epidemic, the EU, but also the entire world, adopted a series of unprecedented measures aimed at saving jobs and ensuring entrepreneurs and families suffer as little as possible. Strict budgetary rules have been softened. The use of the European funds has been modified and expanded. And, more importantly, an unprecedented decision has been taken to introduce the Recovery Fund, officially known as the Next Generation EU instrument. For the first time in the EU's history, the European Commission is eligible to emit common European bonds. It means to create common European liabilities in order to help overcome the negative consequences of the pandemic, especially in the most affected countries. Well, it is good news that we have been able to tune the different interests of those calling for massive spending and those labeled as the frugals. Now we all face the same challenge: to spend this money effectively and to undergo the process of fiscal consolidation in order to make EU economic recovery sustainable. So we look for the right answers on how to invest money from the Recovery Fund effectively, how to supervise this process, and in the end, how to cope with our significantly increased level of indebtedness. The icing on the cake is represented by conditionality between disbursement of the Recovery Fund and adherence to rule of law principles. The second topic of our conference is dedicated to the future of the EU in a time of a significant geopolitical shift, determined by the growing aggressiveness of both China and Russia, but also by the need to respond to global warming and other environmental challenges, by unstable neighbors bordering Europe, and the relentless pressure of immigration. We are going to discuss these issues in two panels. The first will be dedicated to Europe's role in the great power competition, while the second will explore the question of whether greater EU autonomy can make the EU more geopolitical, which is the ambition of the current Commission. There is no doubt these questions are not only very relevant, but also fundamentally important, not only due to the fact that China is becoming slowly but surely the largest economy in the world and invests more and more into its military as well, not only due to the fact that Russia is increasingly aggressive, but also due to the fact that the United States is gradually focused on Pacific and China more than on Europe. The new US administration, with President Biden at the helm, has brought a new tone into the transatlantic dialogue, returning to multilateralism. But the above-mentioned shifted emphasis from Europe to the Pacific is here to stay and will not change. EU institutions have been well aware of these new global geopolitical circumstances in the recent past. Therefore, the European Commission has adopted the EU Global Strategy for Foreign and Security Policy almost exactly 5 years ago, on June the 28th, 2016. This strategy defines strategic autonomy of the EU in these two fields, foreign policy and security. Something has been done since then in this respect, but there are still more questions than answers, to my mind. Why are we not able to speak in the area of foreign policy with one voice and swiftly enough? Why do China and Russia still successfully promote divide and rule tactics towards EU countries? Why are we so divided in various areas, including such a fundamental one, adherence to the rule of law principles? Why are populists and demagogues still so successful in our countries? Why do people have a feeling that the EU becomes less and less relevant globally? Why are we not able to sufficiently stabilize our European neighborhood? In the wake of the global strategy and subsequent documents, the European Commission prepared and published the White Paper on the Future of Europe, with 5 scenarios of the potential future state of the Union. The Commission wrote at that time, allow me brief quotation. Europe is at a crossroads and needs to decide how it wants to tackle the challenges of today. The debate on the future of Europe starts with the white paper and ends with the European elections in 2019. We know no decision has been taken so far in this respect. We also know that Europe is at a crossroads and needs to adopt substantial reform. This is why the EU institutions have launched the Conference on the Future of Europe just a few weeks ago, on Europe Day. I believe our European Ideas Forum can contribute to our quest for the right answers on these difficult questions of our times. Last but not least, we are going to deal with digitalization. The COVID-19 pandemic has unveiled the huge potential of digitalization, including working effectively from our homes, connecting people from different corners of the globe online, and enabling people to create new jobs. But at the same time, reality has unveiled the weak points of the internet, social media, and the digital world as such. There is no doubt the future belongs to digitalization. But several questions need to be answered, and a number of dilemmas need to be solved. One of them is the contradiction between freedom of expression and freedom of access or availability on one side, and responsibility for the content, for spreading fake news, disinformation, hacking, and all relevant subsequent problems and difficulties on the other side. I am glad that one of our 4 panel discussions will explore the relationship between freedom and regulation in the sphere of digitalization. My dear friends, in addition to the 4 extremely timely and topical panel discussions, we will also enjoy 4 individual interventions or contributions. 2 of them will be provided in the form of an interview, and the other 2 as individual addresses. Today, we will watch and listen to an interview with the Eurogroup President and Irish Prime Minister, Irish Minister for Finance, maybe I predict a bit, Pascal Donohoe. And tomorrow, an interview will take place with the former European Council President, Polish Prime Minister, and current President of the European People's Party, Donald Tusk, followed by the keynote speech of the EPP Group Chairman, Manfred Weber. At the end of our conference, we will watch on and listen to Antonio Lopez Isturiz White, the EPP Secretary General, and the Martens Centre Secretary Treasurer. I am very, very grateful to each of them for their willingness to share their insights with us today and tomorrow. Finally, I would like to thank all of our speakers, panel members, moderators of our panel discussions, but also all of you who have decided to join our event and our discussions. A special thank belongs to the sponsors of our event, AB InBev, Apple, and Qualcomm. Last but not least, I'd like to thank all of my colleagues from the Martens Centre under the leadership of Margherita Movarelli for making this conference possible. I wish you all an inspiring event. Enjoy the debate and stay with us. The Wilfried Martens Centre for European Studies.
Thank you, President, for those inspiring and encouraging words.